everybody. I'm David Woldingen from Under the Arch Sports, and today we're going to be talking about City SC. However, before we do that, please remember to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. Now, St. Louis City is coming off their first loss of the season at home to Minnesota, losing 1-0 off a penalty shot. Not going to talk a whole lot about that game, quite honestly. A couple of notes in that game, though, is City actually won the possession battle in that game. And as we know, at the beginning of the season, possession's not everything. After they gave up the goal, the final push in the last 30 minutes of the game to try equalize was pretty impressive, quite honestly, as they threw the proverbial kitchen sink at Minnesota and just came up short. I felt like during that game, it started out a little flat, but after they gave up that goal, that penalty, things really picked up and they really started pushing the ball and getting scoring chances. I also want to credit Minnesota and their stout defense for packing it in the middle and not allowing St. Louis to do what they want to do on the attacking side of things up the middle, and they just kind of created like a train wreck. Or gum things up, so St. Louis couldn't go through the middle. They had to come down the sides, and they just couldn't find a way to create offense that way. So credit to Minnesota for stopping St. Louis in that kind of form. Some of the aftermath of that game, though, is it allowed Seattle to inch closer to St. Louis in the standings. St. Louis is sitting at the top of the West with 15 points. The Seattle Sounders are right behind them with 13 points. Seattle is the next game. That's why I'm talking about them. They play at 9:30 on Saturday in Seattle at Lumen Field. For those of you who don't know, that's where the Seahawks play. So, and they pull in big crowds. So I expect probably about 30,000 on hand, if not more, for the Seattle game. Just some tidbits about Seattle and the game coming up. The Sounders have only lost one of their 10 home matches against expansion teams. The only team they lost to was LAFC in 2018. So they're very good against expansion teams. Seattle on the year this year right now have not given up a goal at home through their first 4 games. Again, they're 4-1-1. They do have one loss on the road. 8 teams in the MLS, 15 seasons had 10 points after 6 matches. The Sounders, like I said, haven't allowed a goal at home this season, so they have a very, very good defense. And St. Louis has a tall order if they want to come out of Seattle with a win. St. Louis is going on the road. They've won their first 3 road matches and looking for their 4th road match win. The last team to do that was the Red Bulls from New York. Last season won its first 4 road games. And they're the only one post-shootout era, which started in 2000, that has been able to do that. So just to give you an idea of how rare it is to win 4 games on the road, St. Louis could do that feat. But like I said, Seattle, again, is a tall order. A couple other notes worth mentioning. Edward Lowen and Jael Klaus have 2 goals and 3 assists and contributed at least Lowen has 4 assists and Klaus has 2 goals and 3 assists, and at least 1 goal in each of their first 3 road matches. Only 6 players in MLS history have recorded a goal or contribution in each of their first 4 away matches. So the hope for St. Louis City is that they continue on that roll. And then finally, a little more about this matchup. Jordan Morris has scored 8 goals through 6 matches this season, and he's tied for second most after 6 appearances in a season in MLS history. Eddie Buttle had 9 in 2010. No player has scored more than 9 times in their first 7 appearances of an MLS season. Now, after going through all that, some things I want to talk about are St. Louis is coming off their first loss. Again, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but the key here is Minnesota had a really strong defense and a fairly talented team. They came into St. Louis and pretty much shut them down offensively. Seattle has an even stronger defense. They haven't given up a goal at home this year. I expect them to follow the same route Minnesota did, pack the middle, force St. Louis to go down the sides and cross over the middle to try to get any attacking goals on hand. But the other thing Seattle has that's really going to push St. Louis are their forwards, led by Jordan Morris. With the talent that Morris has, the defense for City is really going to have to be strong on the ball, and they can't make mistakes. Minnesota won the game last Saturday because they gave up a run in the box, and then out of desperation, one of the defenders slid, causing a penalty to be called. And for people arguing about how it was called and everything else, if you watch replay and go by the rules of the law, that will be called every single time. You just can't do that in the penalty box, flat out. But that chaos that was caused is something Seattle's very good at doing. So St. Louis's back line is going to have to be really, really strong in this game if they want to keep it a game, because the talent on Seattle's front line, if you will, is extremely good. And with the pressure, offensive attacking style that St. Louis has, they can't make any mistakes. They're going to have to be quick on their decisions. They can't come out flat like they did against Minnesota. They seem to be lacking a little energy. So I got a feeling now that the pressure's off of the winning streak, I feel like they're going to get back into their game the way they were playing early on in their first couple of games. And I think you're going to see that at Seattle trying to get back into the win column. If they come out of Seattle with a draw, I'll be very happy because Seattle is an extremely good team. Plus, by drawing with Seattle, you still maintain your top position in the table because Seattle is a team behind you by 2 points. If Seattle somehow wins, they're going to leapfrog St. Louis, and St. Louis is going to be number 2. St. Louis needs to do the best they can to rack up as many points early on as they can, because as the season drags out, the more points you have early on, the less you have to worry about a playoff spot. So I expect them to be fully prepared and ready. I'm interested to see if they make any changes to the style they're playing, especially offensively. I felt they're kind of stale with their attack. They kept going down one side. For the most part, they didn't really try a whole lot of different things. They didn't try to shake up the offense. Maybe even their formation on the field, if you will. With the way Seattle plays defense, since they got a good look at how Minnesota handled them, I think St. Louis will be better prepared to handle a defense that packs it in like Minnesota and probably Seattle will. And because of that, I think it's going to really help them out on the offensive side on knowing how to attack a team who does that. They'll have a better game plan. It's going to be a fun one. Like I said, the game's at 9:30. If St. Louis can match the pace Seattle has and hold off the talent Seattle has on their front line and somehow break a goal or two, they could come out with a win. I'm hoping they do that. Here's hoping they continue their road wins, pull off a fourth one, and maybe create a little more history by winning 5 in a row. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's see if they can pull off a tie or a win. And I'll keep you guys updated not only on Cup play, but St. Louis City play. So keep in touch with Any Dark Sports. We'll keep you up to date with all news City SC. Thank you for watching.